I believe. Um, I do have it on my iPad. Maybe I could trace it out to make it a little bit easier for people to see. Shout out to those of you on the Mars Anomaly channel. We're back for another one. This one, quite an interesting find. This gigapan actually has been interesting. I've actually been looking at this gigapan for about 3 or 4 days now. That's because these gigapans are comprised of thousands of images to compose one image, right? And I really enjoy going through these. But as I was searching through this one, which is it, by the way, less photoshopped than some of the others, a little less photoshopped, I think, but interesting to say the least. I think this is the Curiosity rover, Sol 796. I have a theory, y'all. I really do have a theory. I don't think these are rocks at all. Sure, it looks like the side of the Grand Canyon, right? Or part of the
Hey
Grand Canyon,
guys,
but
listen, we are back really quick. I'm back for one more. And I've been intending on doing this live stream for a couple of days, actually. I'm just now getting to it. So forgive me in advance. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to everybody on all the various platforms I'm streaming on right now. And shout out to those of you on the Mars Anomaly channel. Now, 5 months ago, I did this video. All right. I did this video, and this is regarding a particular gigapand, particularly Sol 796 M100 right mast cam PDS. This was, I believe, an Art Alien TV published um, gigapan, I believe. I'm not sure. I like he's always usually the first, person's gigapans I go to, but needless to say, I'm pretty sure it was one of his gigapans. I marked it. I found this turtle-like looking creature. This was like 5 or 6 months ago, right? And how amazing it was to see Art Alien, Joe White's most recent video that he did. I don't know if you all seen it yet, titled Mars Turtles Found, the graveyard, right? Which is just so interesting because we found a couple other like turtle looking creatures in some other recent gigapans that we were looking at. It's just so weird because it's almost like the head is so weird. The shell is so strange, crooked. Look at the lines on it, even, and it's very clear. It's like a turtle-looking object with a clear, long neck leading to a very strange-looking head. So I was fascinated when I seen this recent post by Art Alien TV, and I'll definitely drop a link to the video, all that good
Okay,
stuff,
YouTubers, this is Joe from
so
Art
we can
Alien
go
TV,
take a
and
look at the
today we're looking at a new
gigapan
gigapan that I put together.
that he put
And
together.
I did this about a week ago, actually. This is Sol 1081 from the Curiosity rover, Mars Science Laboratory, and there's loads of things to look at here. I'm not going to go through all this stuff in great detail. What I've done is I've put the
MSL
main
Soul
finds on here
1081
for you
raw.
to look at with these
Interesting.
enlarged clips. So you can go through these yourself, and each of these will link to a video or another image or a similar thing.
And by the
Right?
way, shout out
So I'm just
to
going to briefly show you what.
Mars Anomaly and Beyond. Shout out to to Chris over there. Shout out to What's Up in the Sky as well. To those guys who are still out here doing their videos too. I watch them just as religiously as I watch our Alien TV. But yeah, I can't. When I seen the turtles, I was like, yeah,
What's here
I know
that
exactly
is
what he's
new,
talking
and
about.
then we can go over some of this other stuff after, because I have covered some
So
of
it's
this
a lot
stuff
of fun, you
before,
guys.
and I
It's
don't
a
want
fun little
to take
hobby.
too long with this video. Okay, but the new find is just here in the corner. Now I think this is a turtle, not a tortoise, but I could be wrong. Generally, let's go in close. Actually, let's go in a bit closer.
Very strange looking.
You can see the shell, and you can see the head there.
Mm.
Unfortunately, the legs can't be seen because they've got sand over them. So obviously this is dead. and probably been dead
Or
for
what if
quite
the
some time,
legs
and it's
is
mummified
another
in the
head?
natural preservatives in the sand and
No, that
soil.
sounds
Okay,
weird what I said,
as
but
many of the other things I've shown have been as well. Now it's not that clear because this is a raw image. So what I've done for you here is I've done some clips of all these things. So I'm going to show you in better detail in my
it
graphics
does
thing
look like a
here.
turtle, doesn't it?
And
With
I
that
can see
weird
what I did
shaped
for you and
shell.
show you what we're looking at. Now, basically, this thing is cool. And it's quite a good example, I would say. It's one of the best examples found so far, but it's not the only example. At least 2 or 3, I think, of I found before, and other people have found things that look like turtles and tortoises as well in Gale Crater. So there were different types there. At least I would say at least 2 different types have been found so far,
Definitely.
and possibly more. Okay,
I'm
but
actually
this
going to
one
bring up the
is
gigapan,
not very
y'all.
big. I
The one
think
that I
if we look on
found.
the Gigapan,
Excuse
you
me.
can sort of work out how big it is. We've
Oh,
got the
this
rover
wasn't
parked
Art's.
here.
This was Neil
You
Spence's.
can use that as
Sorry, I
sort of
somehow
reference
must
the
have
rover.
gotten on his, but
And I think that this is probably about 5 inches. It
so
could be
so
6.
just
It
put
could
that
be.
in your mind for a second, right? And then here is the find, the actual PDS file, right? This is what I don't know, 5 or 6 months ago I marked this. Yeah, turtle head, long neck attached to shell. I'm not sure what they're saying with this box, but I definitely marked that. But yeah, definitely I know exactly. And look at that shell and you've got the neck, it's clearly attached to a very awkward looking head. It seems to have like another head underneath it. It's very weird. But I absolutely think this is also another turtle-like creature that I have also found on Mars. I mean, that I'm just looking at the different shells, at the way how the shell's kind of sideways like. Very interesting. Very interesting.
4, I don't know exactly, but it's around that sort of size from here to here. The shell is quite large, but it's got a very large head with what looks like a flattened face. It's really quite strange. And when I
Strange like this. Flattened face, large head.
coming right round here, and we
Maybe
have what
that's
seems
just the
to be
way
an
the
eye
head
here,
is tilted.
and another eye there, and what seems to be a very large kind of mouth here. It's really strange.
I think
and
its
it's not like
head's
anything.
if you actually look at it and it can just, in comparison, I think its head is almost like tilted to the side as it's looking up at the rover. If I was to go off of this previous find, which is so nice because it's so close up and NASA didn't blow, they didn't get their hands on it and they didn't blow. Somehow they missed it. And again, this is on Sol 796 M100 right mass cam PDS. I'll put a link to this gigapan. I somehow ended up over here, but I'm pretty sure Art Alien TV has this, Sol whatever gigapan this day, this set of images. I'm pretty sure he has a gigapan out there too. But anyway, that's the one. I've actually marked a lot of stuff in that gigapan. Actually, I spent like probably a total of like 7 or 8 days on this gigapan. I know. That's over a period of time though. Because typically what I'll do is there's just so much in these gigapans, it takes me days just to go through one of them. And I'm bringing out the magnifier, all this sort of thing. And I'm marking, a lot of stuff. And it was in this gigapan, okay, kind of where my theory, well, when I came across this, it's kind of when my theory started regarding the blue eye effect on Mars as well. That there are a lot of times where we capture, instead of like the red eye effect on Earth, if you pay close attention to these images, you will notice instead of red, it's blue, but on Mars. Um, and yeah, I don't know. It's just a theory that I have. All right. But this is one of my most favorite gigapans. I think also because it doesn't appear that NASA really did a hell of a lot of photoshopping on this one. It's like, there's definitely some photoshopping going on, but in a lot of instances, for some reason, with these sets of images, there are things that usually would be blurred out, you know, things like that. And just, I'm just saying, pay attention to that because sometimes, in all honesty, I think that the people at, whoever is fooling with these images, releasing them, whatever, I think sometimes they will let stuff just kind of go through. I mean, for God's sakes, we're looking at shit we probably wouldn't even know what we're looking at anyway, right? It would really take time to sit down and develop the skill of looking at these images and not just seeing rocks and gobbledygook. And I'm not talking about pareidolia here either, at all. Sometimes I come up on stuff, it doesn't even make visual sense. I mean, at all. But this ain't pareidolia, baby. Look at some of these things that are marked. And a lot of these things, I've marked over time. I mean, like literally I spent days on this. There's so many. And usually I make mine red. My markings red. But I guess I had marked that. I had noticed that gargoyle-looking creature. It looks definitely like a creature to me. But yeah, I really like this gigapan because, again, there's not a hell of a lot of photoshopping going on. I don't know if NASA forgot or if they said, fuck it, let's just let it go through. Now there's some, but not like some of the other heavily edited stuff we see. It's better than some of the other stuff. And the other thing I also picked up when I was going through this gigapan, and I'm telling you, you start going through it, you'll be looking at this thing tomorrow, the day after. There's a lot of different colors that I think make up the surface for sure. You could almost differentiate color over time as you look at these images. There's patterns on things. Interesting stuff. So yeah. And there's also a second find that we had, and I'm for sure that this came from, hey, Third Eye, I'm positive this came from an Art Alien TV gigapan. There was another turtle-like object that we found, I don't know, a year or so ago. This really weird, shell, strange feet with a very weird looking head. Yeah.
And that's no surprise. But you've even got, if you look carefully, you've even got the shell coming around here like this, which is partially buried here. This may be a leg or a flipper or something sticking out. And it comes right round like that. We got some sort of slightly pointed bits on top. And we've got a pattern to it like you would expect to see on a turtle or a tortoise. These parts to the actual shell like this. Okay. I've got some images of some of these up in my browser here. I'm just going to show you a couple of those in a minute. They tend to have these patterns on them, and there's many different types on Earth. There's leatherbacks. There's all different types. Some have got parts of the shell which are ridges, like long ridges, like this one here, and some of them have got more sort of tortoise-like patterns with sections, like polygonal kind of sections to it. Plates, I should call them, I suppose. This is a typical one that you would see. You can see these parts here on the shell. Well, that's what we've got. Now, I think what I'll do is I'll really darken this up for you, because this is very bright. I brightened it right up. And in fact, if I go really dark on this, we should be able to see those patterns show up a bit more. Let's go really dark. Let's keep going really dark. And you can start to see on the shell here, we've got those parts, okay? You can actually see those parts here, like you would see on a turtle or tortoise on the shell, on the carapace. Now I have found others. I'll very briefly show, I'm not going to show you the videos, I'm just going to show you when I found them and where I found them. There was this one. This is a tortoise, not a turtle. In other words, this is a land-based one rather than a water-based one or aquatic one, whatever you want to call it. This is one of my very first finds, and it dates right back to 2013. But this isn't the
Ooh,
first
and you know what?
video that I did. This is the second
You
or
know
third.
what? I remember that. And in that same gigapan, this particular find is in, because I remember it. There's a couple of objects that look like tortoises in that gigapan. If I'm not mistaken, it's very close to where we've seen those other turtle-like objects I was just talking about. I'm pretty sure it's either in that gigapan or a day or two around it.
2013. But I didn't really do a very good job of the video until later that year. But I did put one up earlier than this in April, which also shows the dead lizard or iguana, I think it was called. And here's one stood up. But this is more of a tortoise. Generally, tortoises have got a much more upright and shell that's kind of sticks up more, whereas turtles have a flatter, more hydrodynamic shell. In other words, it's more streamlined generally. Okay, tortoises have quite often got a much more helmet kind of shaped shell, which kind of sticks up more for some reason. I don't know why that is.
Again,
this one,
when you just compare that with this find here, man, that is incredible, isn't it? That shell is very awkward.
and we can see the head
Very
clearly,
cool.
and we can see the some sort of facial detail here, and the head itself is very large in proportion to the shell. I would imagine that there would be flippers or feet here. This may be one, but this is probably just a rock here. The flipper would probably come around like that, I would imagine. There'd be another one this side and another one hidden behind there. But this, to me, I think is pretty unmistakable and is one of the best examples so far of this particular type of creature. So there was that. That was pretty cool. There's the grave, and there's the foot of the grave here. Okay, this is the grave marker with the skull on it. Okay, and then we have over here, we have this weird thing. I'll show you that in a minute. This is spooky, right? And then we have this structure here with a head at one end, which looks like probably this was some kind of tomb or grave that's broken. I'll show you that as well. But a lot of these things you can see actually here on the actual gigapan itself anyway. And we've got a lot of these things here. There's that head with the strange eyes, which are really spooky. That is just so weird. There's that structure with the head at one end. And these are stone blocks that are broken. I think this was a tomb and would have come up to here, like a little mausoleum type tomb thing. And there's some weird stuff here going on. Really weird carved stuff. And art. It's a type of art, funerary art. Okay? It's quite gloomy and it's quite morose, but that's what funerary art is. Okay? We have plenty of examples of that on Earth. I'm not going to go into all that now. So basically, there's loads of stuff here. Here's that thing that looks a bit like an ape. just here, and you can see its teeth there. Let me zoom in a bit. Got an eye here, and we got a row of teeth there,
Mm,
right? You can actually see the jagged teeth
yep, you can.
like that. We got nostrils here, and we got an eye here. This is the snout coming down, chin down here, and it kind of comes up like this.
I'll be damned. How about I
Okay,
just came
that's
across
weird.
how about I just came across that other gigapan I was just telling y'all about? So that gigapan I was telling you guys about that other tortoise or turtle-like object that we had found or whatever. Look, there it is right there. I'm trying to remember what. Yeah, Soul 2658MR. That is the name of the image file. And this is the tortoise-like object that we had found. I mean, you can see a head, very straight, like bridge of a nose of some kind. And then, of course, the feet that are sticking out. It almost looks like it's part of the environment. But I think that's its feet, whatever they call feet. But I also know that NASA's really good at playing, with the photoshopping and screwing like with the depth perception specifically on Mars. But that's definitely something that appears to be like some sort of like tortoise-like object with a head, claws, hands, all that, right? So I definitely think that people are onto something with that for sure. For sure.
I don't know what species that is, but it looks like a type of ape, but I could be wrong. We got this thing, which is that weird hexagonal rock with some weird details on it. Now, this over here, it's just really weird. I really don't know what to make of this. This is
Let me
possibly
bring
a
up
grave
the
marker or burial figurine representing someone
wallpaper I was telling
or
you about.
something.
Wallpaper.
I'm not really sure, but it's very, very strange, and it's one of the weirdest things I've seen recently. But we got a head there. There's the neck. There's the jewel. There's a mouth. There's a nose. There's an eye, and the head comes around, joins to the neck here, and we got an arm coming down, like I said before, here, holding something here, and I think there's another arm coming around this side, like this, like that, holding onto something, sat in a weird sort of on a throne or chair. But this is eroded. This has got striations coming across it there, and erosion pits and stuff in it, and troughs. So that was weird. That's like a figurine. That could be a burial figurine, as there are graves in the area, like we've got here. Here's the grave, and this has got the skull on it here. You can actually see the skull quite clearly. I'm not going to draw around it. That was really cool. From Thomas Smosny, I think, actually this year, that was found. 3rd of February, 2020. Then we have this weird other ape thing, which is actually on the Gigapan, but I'm just going to show you it and brighten it up a bit for you because
Now, when I'm talking about the a theory that I have about Mars and how objects possibly move or whatnot, I just have a theory that it's almost like there's several, these so-called, it almost looks like metal sometimes, right? Almost, how you can imagine like pouring a liquid metal, mercury, just as an example, right? How it can have its own bubble, but then can join together and become a larger mass. I sort of have a theory that it's possible how some matter may work on Mars. So this is like the best way to describe it visually, right? Where you have several small little, I'll just say worms, for example, but they can also join together to make even a larger object. Maybe that just, explains why in one day or photo, we'll see a so-called rock. And then in the next day or photo, it's completely gone. Still can't get over that so-called mural on Mars. I really do feel like that's some kind of artwork that is supposed to describe to us, life on Mars. I really do feel that way. Even still now, when you go back and you look at it, what's drawn on the side of it, sometimes we've seen similar looking beings, three-eyed beings, that sort of a thing. But anyway, definitely
Nostril, a beak-like snout almost
great
coming round. Mouth,
content, to say the least.
other eye, you can just see the edge of it there. There's the eye. And then the head comes up in a smooth kind of line like that. And then we got this thing on top. Now, this may be carved. And there is what I think is a temple to Hanuman not far from here, who is the Hindu monkey god. Okay, because there's loads of like carved apes around, including orangutan types and gorilla types and chimpanzee types and gibbon types and all different types of ape. In fact, I've got about 30 different types of ape, or at least 30 apes that I found so far. Some are the same type and some aren't. So there's about 5 or 6 species of ape I found so far. Some are very small, some are quite large like this. And there's even things that look a bit like gorillas or very similar to gorillas. Weird creature.
Oh, man.
The eye detail there. And that's in the raw image, okay? That is cool. Now, here's the thing that's right over to the far right, which is some kind of weird creature. Maybe a bird, maybe another turtle or reptile type thing with an eye here, closed. Another one here, but
almost looks bigger.
And then the beak coming right down here. Okay. Like this. Unfortunately, we got a pebble right in front of it, which is obscuring the bottom part here. But you can see that pretty clearly, that there's a sort of beak structure here with an eye. It's there. Right? Look at that.
The rock next to it looks like it's folding up from the from the floor up.
Or it's some kind of bird. I'm not really sure. Possibly some type of dinosaur. I don't know. But it's very strange. But that's what on the very far right by the rover, okay, on the Gigapan. And then there's those 2 little head things, which are really too small to actually tell what they are. These are probably burial figurines or something. They're near the middle.
Very weird.
Back, we got a pointed head here.
Yes, you do.
These are a bit ambiguous because
and that excuse me, that typical standard frowny like the way the face is, it almost looks like these rocks, so-called rocks, bend up from the floor, from the bottom, from the ground there, right? It's almost like it's bending up, and then underneath comes up, and you can see underneath it. I'm just looking at here, right here behind. You just see that a lot.
And a bit out of visual range, so I'm not going to go architecture really, and not buildings as such. See different stone blocks here that are broken away, so that proves at least something about the area, that there were a lot of tombs here. Now, some of these here are from a good place that
now instantly when I see this image, 1081, I already see photoshopping in my, just already off the cuff. It's a tactic that they use to create like texture on these images. It's like an overlay, and you can see it here where you see my mouse. That entire area, you can see there's been some sort of overlay placed there. Fake sand.
Turtle, you would come up the beach because there was a lake here, and the water may have come right up to over here somewhere.
And also, to the other thing to pay attention to when you look at these images is the rover itself. Like you will see things on the rover.
If you were a turtle,
I refer to it as Mars Ivy.
There was a lake here,
but
and the
you
water may
will
have come right up to over here somewhere, right? this area here.
Those are sometimes some of my favorite photos to look at is the ones of the rover. Wow.
It's a saltwater lake, so it'd be very
I remember when he found that
similar.
many
This
years
is one of the
ago.
weirdest things I've seen in a while with this guy. I don't know what this is, whether it's a turtle on an earth variety. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Yeah, good video, man. Very good. Very interesting, right?